We are live.
Good afternoon, and welcome to El Paso Community College's first ever virtual President's Town Hall and conversation with the Cabinet. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Carrie Moe, Associate Vice President of External Relations, Communication, and Development, and I will be moderating today's event. Joining you today are EPCC President, Dr. William Serrata, along with his Cabinet leaders, including Dr. Jenny Giron, Vice President of Information Technology, Dr. Ken Gonzalez, Vice President of Student and Enrollment Services, Dr. Julie Penley, Vice President of Research, Accreditation and Planning, Ms. Josette Shaughnessy, Vice President of Financial and Administrative Operations, Mr. Steve Smith, Vice President of Instruction and Workforce Education, Dr. Jaime Farias, Associate Vice President of Workforce Education, Mr. Fernie Flores, Associate Vice President of Budget and Financial Services, and Dr. Paula Mitchell, Associate Vice President of Instruction and Student Success. Today's event will begin with a town hall featuring Dr. Serrata, followed by a conversation with Cabinet leaders. Dr. Serrata and the college leadership are committed to keeping you informed as we navigate our new realities. The information being shared today is the latest updates for our college and is also being guided by questions that each of you submitted. It is now my pleasure to welcome EPCC President, Dr. William Serrata.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moe. It is certainly my honor and privilege to be here with you this afternoon in the midst of a new reality for all of us. I'd be remiss if I didn't start with a huge thank you to each and every one of you, and my hope that everyone is well and everyone is staying healthy. I cannot thank you enough for the great work that you have done as we have moved forward with this new reality. So much has taken place in the last 2 months. So today, we had just begun 2 months ago our spring break, and I want to cover some of the items that we have done from a national level, from a state level, from what we're doing at EPCC. And then I want to move forward, and we will have an opportunity to answer many of your questions. But the first piece that I talk to you about is what has been occurring at a national level. I've been privileged to, since the 23rd of March, so the Monday that we were supposed to return from spring break, which we extended spring break in order to ensure that our faculty was ready to completely transition all of our courses online. Our students had an extended spring break, but beginning that Monday was my first American Association of Community Colleges board and the Association of Community College Trustee Board joint Zoom meetings that began. Those meetings have been weekly since March 23rd. We had one this past Monday. We have discussed a variety of issues that each of our respective institutions is dealing with, from advocating on behalf of institutions for the CARES Act and the portion that we would be able to receive for students as well as the institution, discussing pass-fail options, looking at Pell Grant availability, accreditation issues that have come up, nursing issues, and the clinical programs, dealing with hospitals that may not be allowing our students to be in there for clinicals, ensuring the safety, and of course, issues that come up during situations such as this, which are legal issues, and what does the college legally have to move forward with? What are the kinds of issues that are coming about nationally from those? At the statewide level, the Texas Association of Community Colleges began our week of spring break, and we began with daily calls. Those calls remained daily for the first 3 to 4 weeks of the pandemic and of switching completely virtual. They are now biweekly calls. We have developed in discussing many of the same issues that are discussed at the national level with the Texas context of what the 50 community colleges are looking at, how we're dealing with these respective issues, how we're ensuring that we continue to serve the nearly 750,000 students that are part of the 50 community colleges statewide. We have developed work groups. Some of the work groups include a campus restart work group that Dr. Valek from Brazosport College is leading and that I serve on. We have an athletics group. Many of our institutions have athletic teams, and determining what will what they will do going forward. This spring, all 50 colleges, those that have athletic programs, suspended all athletics. Now we're looking at what to do and how to do that in the fall. And so we have an athletics group. We also understand the economic issues that are coming forward as a result of the pandemic. And so a work group that was created that's led by Chancellor May from the Dallas Community College District is what we entitle 300,000 Jobs in 300 Days, of trying to train and provide the skills and upskill several, obviously 300,000 plus individuals that have lost jobs out of the nearly over 1 million jobs that have been lost in Texas, and ensuring that we can rapidly meet those and have that going forward. So those are some of the items that we've looked at the statewide level. Let's talk a little bit about the college. We have had swift and decisive action since all of this began, since the Friday before spring break, when we were one of the first community colleges to suspend athletic programs. We had a baseball game that very next day. We chose, based on the recommendation of our athletic director, that it was in the best interest of the institution and the safety of our student athletes to cancel that game. We did cancel that. We moved forward, and during spring break, we began making additional decisions. We've been monitoring the rapidly changing COVID-19 situation regularly. Daily, we're monitoring what is coming out of the city, what is coming out of the county. We're watching the governor's press conferences and dealing with the executive orders that have come from each of those respective entities. Let me say this. The most important thing is the safety of our faculty, staff, and students. That is the priority. That is what we continue to move forward with. That is what we are concerned most with, from the Board of Trustees through the administration. Each one of you that is attending today understands that. We wanted to make sure that we were able to keep our students on a path to success and be able to complete the spring semester. We continue to work, as I indicated earlier, with our state and local officials. Mayor Margot asked me to serve on the Reopen El Paso Task Force. So we've continued to have a seat at the table, a virtual table now, but a seat nonetheless, of ensuring that the college is at the forefront of all of what is occurring in our community, again, to ensure that we, once we're out of this situation, that we can recover as quickly as possible. We implemented travel restrictions immediately. We've implemented social distancing restrictions. On the 6th of April, we chose that it was in the best interest for safety and security of our faculty, staff, and students to transition all of our summer courses to an online format. And we have moved forward with that. We also certainly understand that some students weren't intending to register online, obviously for the spring, but also for the summer. And so what we've done is we've waived the distance learning fees for all courses for the summer. We continue to provide communication, regular communication district-wide to all of our staff and students. And we've ensured that our students have access to all support services virtually. The first key was to get our faculty the equipment, the technology, the training they needed, though in particular those that did not have an online training background. So the Blackboard boot camps came forward quickly. Can't thank the team enough for moving forward with that. And then we continued after that to shift all of our services. So all of the counseling and advising and library services, can't thank Dr. Mitchell and her team enough for all the great work that they've done. All of the student support services, Dr. Gonzalez and his team, all transitioning, utilizing several different online tools, including Blackboard Collaborate, to ensure that we're able to provide students with those services that they need, and to make sure that it has a positive impact on those students. We have established a Stay Strong emergency fund. Dr. Gross and the foundation cannot thank you and your team enough for establishing that, to be able to provide resources to students, because some students will not qualify for the CARES Act funding. And we also understand that the CARES Act funding will begin to diminish quickly as students start to take advantage, start to access those resources. We implemented a calling campaign. We understand that some jobs that we had at the institution, some of our staff we're not able to go into a virtual environment. And so we've trained and we've initiated under Dr. Gonzalez's leadership a calling campaign to reach out to students to both check on their well-being, to check and see if we are meeting the needs that they have, but to also encourage them to continue their education, to continue through from the spring into the summer and our fall term. Again, the summer, the decision has been made to go virtually, so they already know that and transition into those courses. Additionally, encouraging students that are still in high school. So we initially in the spring terms have Operation College Bound and had that scheduled for over 30 high schools this spring. Well, we couldn't go to those high schools in person, and so Dr. Gonzalez and his team and his staff and his division along with the cooperation of IT as well as Dr. Mitchell and counselors and advisors are holding virtual Operation College Bound. And we're seeing the results of those. We're seeing more students register. This is a pause in all of our lives, and yet we know that coming out of this on the other end, in particular with the unemployment rates where they are, that higher education will be even more important than it has ever been. And so I can't thank them enough for moving forward with that. We created Miss Mo and her team, IT, Marco, Abraham, Aaron. They have done a tremendous job of creating a comprehensive EPCC COVID-19 website. I encourage you, if you have not had an opportunity to go to that website, I'm sure everyone that's listening to this has. But if you have questions from the community members, and I get those regularly, and I'll get board members who will say, we got a question on this. I go to the website, and there hasn't been a time that I haven't been able to answer a question that has come from a board member, that has come from the community. So I encourage you to go to that website. It is on the screen now. It is a comprehensive. You see it has all the different resources from remote toolkits under classes for students, all the campus operations. There's announcements, internet connectivity. We've gone and moved forward tremendously with providing as much information as we can to the entire constituency of the institution. And so great job on creating this website. It is very comprehensive. And if something is missing, we add it to the website regularly. So can't thank the team enough for that. Now we understand, I want to provide some updates and I want to provide some kudos for some things that have occurred during this particular situation. COVID-19 has changed how we do what we do, but it hasn't changed who we are. And I am just, I'm so inspired by our incredible faculty and staff and the kinds of things that they have done. So I'd like to acknowledge some of the many activities that could have come forward. And so we have a long history of making an impact on our region and in our communities, our employees, our students. They're continuing that tradition by continuing to be resilient in the face of this adversity and making our community better. I'd like to acknowledge EPCC math professor Fan Chen, along with other faculty and staff who have printed thousands of masks and face shields for first responder using 3D printing technology. In addition to that, Fan, I follow you on Twitter. And so, Professor Chan, I see the great work that you're doing, delivering food on a regular basis to our first responders, donating those things. Amazing work. Our students have also jumped into action when they found out masks were in need. The EPCC Philosophy Club students sewed and donated more than 2,000 masks to organizations in need. So can't thank them for the great work. We see that our faculty goes above and beyond as well. Carol Cross, who's an EPCC pharmacology professor, is currently volunteering in Queens, New York, to establish a pharmacy at the Billie Jean King Center, which has been designated to treat COVID-19 patients. You see her in the back of that photo, but just felt in her heart of hearts that she needed to be at the epicenter and treating and serving those who needed most. And so moved to Queens for a period of time and is there now. The Small Business Development Center has been helping small businesses with strategies to stay afloat, as well as helping them apply for economic injury disaster loans and other coronavirus relief packages. Dr. Farias and Joe Ferguson and your team cannot thank you enough for reaching out to businesses and doing what we always do, help them as much as we possibly can. One of the businesses they helped were former EPCC graduates, Chef Chris Morrill and Chef Santiago Reyes, owners of Around the World Catering, Gallery 3 Kitchen, and Taco Shop. And you see them there. Dean Webb, Chef Nickerson, Chef Guerra, in partnership with SGA and Student Life. You see this EPCC Cares Chef Share, and this was an article that was picked up nationally, just showing the great work that they have done. We know that food insecurity is a challenge that our students were dealing with before the pandemic, and it has only increased. We see the sad, sad stories of so many members of our community as well as other communities in food lines. In response to this need, EPCC's culinary arts faculty jumped into action, cooking meals and delivering them to students in partnership with the Tejano Food Pantry. We did not let resources that we had available and that were food resources that were available, we did not let them go to waste. Instead, the chefs cooked those food products and went and delivered them and donated them. So kudos to each of you for the great job that you've done. The college is strong. We're resilient, and we will get through this pandemic, continuing to collaborate, to work together, being adaptive and creative in our problem solving, and staying laser focused on our community and our commitment to student success. And I'm proud to say, because of each of you, we continue to engage our students and make a difference. We can't engage them in person currently, but we are engaging them online. We recognize that keeping them engaged and ensuring that they feel connected is even more important now than when we had them in person. And it's more important to ensuring that we retain those students. If we retain them, then our enrollment will continue to be healthy, and our students, more importantly, our students are more likely to finish their degrees and certificates. Besides classes and academic support, departments district-wide organize virtual activities for students. I won't name them all, but I have to share some examples. Student government and campus life has offered robust interactive programming for students, including EPCC trivia, Web and Learn for veterans, video gameplay, EPCC's Got Talent, and even made the annual Kitty Corner a virtual experience, not only for our students, but for their families as well. In celebration of National Library Week, the EPCC librarians hosted Fun from Home Week with a variety of social media contests and activities. Not only were students able to interact, they also had opportunities to learn more about many services still available to them at our libraries. In addition to these college-wide sponsored activities, External Relations, Communications, and Development has multiple marketing campaigns to address student engagement and retention. A significant amount of marketing and promotion took place during April to raise awareness about EPCC during Community College Month. I know most of us were not out and about, but I was fortunate to see, and I even had a board member forward me a picture of the Wells Fargo building lit up with EPCC and Till letters. It continued to be Community College Appreciation Month, and we made sure that people knew about the great work that our community college continues to do in this most trying of circumstances. EPCC employees care, they motivate our students, and they put our students first. And so cannot thank, and there's just a sampling of what our faculty and staff have put forward to make sure that our students understand that we continue to operate, we continue to support them, and we continue to do our best to facilitate their success. Those are just a sampling. Looking ahead, what's the outlook for summer and fall? We're committed, and we made, as I said earlier, that on April 6th, we committed that we would move forward with transitioning all of our summer courses to online, save some specific courses that need hands-on, such as our career technology education courses. And we will touch on that shortly of how we will facilitate those courses. But we move forward in ensuring that our students know this, and we want to make sure that they've advanced in their educational path and complete their academic goals in the safest way possible. After careful consideration, along with monitoring how COVID-19 is expected to impact our state and community, we transitioned, as I said, those summer courses online. We've weighed all the information available carefully and made this difficult decision again in the best interest of the health and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff. Since these are circumstances that none of us predicted and none of us expected, as I indicated earlier, we are waiving the $50 distance education fee for all summer courses. We know we know many of you also have questions about the fall, and I want to provide as many answers for the fall as I can, but those circumstances continue to evolve quickly, and we currently don't have all of those answers yet. But I want everyone to rest assured that the safety of the college community is paramount in all decision making, and we will continue to keep you informed as those decisions are made. For now, the majority of employees will continue to work remotely through the summer, and we're exploring multiple possibilities for fall instruction. We hope to have more answers for you at the latest in early June. As we plan for the fall, we have created a Safe Campus Task Force to help us remain safe when we return to campus. This group will continue to monitor the CDC guidelines and will also work closely with state and local authorities to develop plans and protocols that will keep our campus and our campus community healthy and well. Next, I know the pressing question from many of you listening and from many of the questions that we've received throughout this process is, what does the budget look like for the upcoming year? What should we expect? Will there be cuts? Will there be a reduction in force and or, God forbid, layoffs? I know there might even be some questions on salary enhancements. I would like to turn the program over to Vice President Josette Shaughnessy to give some more specifics on our financial outlook. Ms. Shaughnessy.
Thank you, Dr. Serrata. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Dr. Serrata's Town Hall. I hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy. I will try to provide you with some perspective with the challenges that we're facing in balancing next year's budget and beyond, as the current crisis will have a long-term impact. Every budget development is different from year to year, some years more difficult than others. And certainly this college is very adept in dealing with challenging times when it comes to balancing the budget under a fiscal crisis that is usually at the state level. It happened in 2003, then in 2011. However, this year is totally unprecedented as we are facing potential decreases in all main sources of revenue. So before I address the reasons why that is the case, first, let me tell you where we are today with the budget process. So the budget development process for fiscal year 2021 kicked off this year in January when the board held a budget workshop to hear the recommendation of a tuition increase by the administration and its impact on fiscal year 2021 projected revenue. This recommendation is a biannual recommendation that is usually effective the second year of the biennium when there is no additional funding from the state. This recommendation was also presented to the Tuition and Fees Committee for their approval. And in February, the Board of Trustees received a second budget workshop and voted to approve a tuition increase that was effective fall 2020 through summer 2022. So I lost my spot, so sorry about that. Prior to the impact of COVID-19, the budget model for 2021 was based on tuition and fees, estimated from the current year enrollment and enhanced by the tuition increase effective this fall. It was based on the same state funding. Second year of the biennium, we're not getting additional funding, but it was still the same state funding as we're receiving this year. Increasing tax revenue due to growth in new property and stable interest income. The model also provided some room for a potential salary increase for employees, like we normally do that every year as funding permits. And so this year was no exception. In other words, it was a fairly good model. However, here comes COVID-19 that created a lot of havoc for all estimates that we had done. First was the economic downturn. The state of Texas is facing significant revenue deficit and is planning on imposing budget reduction for all state agencies, impacting our state appropriation that fund over 21% of the operating budget. We have heard reductions of anywhere between 10 to 20%, and most likely 15%. That represents $4.8 million per year. Tuition and fees will also be affected by a potential decrease in enrollment if students cannot transition from face-to-face instruction to online or hybrid instruction. Tuition revenue represents 32% of the total revenue. Property tax revenue, probably the most predictable source of revenue, or 43% of the budget, is also threatened due to the fact that many businesses lost a lot of revenue due to COVID-19 related closures and will experience difficulties in paying their property tax. This means that we need to set aside a higher reserve for uncollectible accounts. Interest income, although not a major source of revenue, still contributes to the budget to the tune of $2.2 million for this year's budget. In light of the sharp decrease in interest rates since the COVID-19 crisis, interest income will significantly be down by $1.1 million for fiscal year 2021. So in light of these potential decreases in revenue, the administration has been diligently working on budget scenarios that will be presented to the Board of Trustees tomorrow afternoon. All these budget scenarios, from best case to worst case, contain solutions to cover the deficits resulting from these scenarios. And other than freezing the recruitment of vacant positions, these solutions are presented to mitigate as much as possible the need for any reductions in force. I invite you to listen in the conversation that will take place as a result of the presentation tomorrow afternoon. As we progress towards summer and as enrollment continues to improve, we will have a better feel for revenue projections and then make informed decisions on needed budget reductions to fund any projected deficits. I do want to recognize Laura Tellez and Fernando Flores and the budget office team for compiling the baseline budget, providing updated information for the budget presentations, generating many reports that are crucial to decision making. And also want to thank all of you for your understanding and patience while we'll navigate these difficult times in formulating a balanced budget by August 2020. Thank you so much for your attention. And at this time, I will turn the program over to Dr. Serrata.
Thank you so much, Vice President Shaughnessy, for a very detailed approach. We will continue to move forward. Ms. Shaughnessy and I will be presenting to the board tomorrow on budget scenarios. These are the preliminary budget scenarios that we have based on the latest information that we have. And so I want everyone to understand the goals that Ms. Shaughnessy outlined, which I certainly appreciate. That is what we will be moving forward with in this first expiration of the budget for the next fiscal year with the Board of Trustees beginning tomorrow. We anticipate that we will have several budget workshops, and we will not finalize a budget until the month of August for the next fiscal years. Thank you, Ms. Shaughnessy. I know that one of the big questions that we continue to have also is, what will the fall look like? What will it look like when we're able and willing to have faculty, staff, and students return to campus? And for that, I'd like to ask Vice President Smith to chime in, please.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and I hope as the semester begins to wind down for many of us, that you get ready to enjoy a small break. I almost don't know where to start. So many things have happened. And before I get into the fall semester, I want to talk a little bit about where we are now and the immediate needs of instruction, especially as it relates to career and technical education courses. So, of course, as Dr. Serrata said, we pivoted on a dime over spring break. And I can't thank the faculty and staff enough for the heavy lift, the big work that was done. It was entirely unexpected, and it came at a time when many of us were anticipating enjoying a week off. And I know many of you didn't get to enjoy that spring break off because you were busy transitioning your courses online. I want to thank you for that work. And I also want to thank the coordinators, the deans, and the staff in the dean's offices, because there was a lot of logistics that had to happen in order to get that work done. I also want to thank Student Services for the work that they did in Banner and getting those courses transitioned, as well as some of the work that they continue to do as we begin to talk about some of the courses that weren't able to complete this spring. So big thanks for everybody for the work that they did. Of course, as part of that, faculty had to get trained. Many faculty had never done an online course. And so we not only pivoted and said, we'll do online, but then we had to get training available to all of the folks that needed it. And as it turned out, we had over 1,000 faculty members that went through training sessions. Some of them attended multiple training sessions over the course of the spring break and the weeks following. And so I want to thank the Distance Learning Support Services folks. They have a very small staff, and we changed the game on them many times. You all may remember that we originally had set up a slate of both face-to-face and online sessions. And then we transitioned after some of the orders that came out from the state and local authorities that no, we weren't going to allow people onto campus. So we pivoted even that training to completely online. So flexibility was the order of the day. And I do appreciate everybody that reached out and sent me notes related to thanking the Distance Learning Support Services staff for all of the work that they did. We realize that work's not done, and I'll talk more about the need for additional training and different types of training in just a few minutes. So before I get into the summer and the fall, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's happening with some of the programs that weren't able to finish the spring semester. So while many of you are heavily into finals week and getting a bow put on this semester and submitting grades in a few days, there's a group of faculty that were not able to complete the semester with their students. And that's largely some of the CTE areas like the health occupations areas, automotive, welding, those types of programs where there was a large hands-on component that we weren't able to complete. So we've been strategizing since we found out that we were going to have to complete that work on how we're going to finalize the semester for those students. And one of the difficult things about this situation is how vague everything is. So we reached out to the CTE faculty that needed to make up those labs. And we asked them to develop a plan on how they were going to complete the spring lab hours for their students. Back then, we thought, based on the guidance, that we would be back on April 6th. That seems like such a long time ago that we thought that, which obviously turned out not to be correct. Then we thought May 1, we'd be able to come back and start those hours. Of course, that turned out not to be true after the governor issued an order that said colleges would not come back before the end of the academic year. So we've asked that group of faculty to do this work several times. And as it stands now, we think we're clear to begin that work starting on May 18th. And so you heard Dr. Serrata talk about the task force that's working to make sure we have a safe environment for our students to come back. Part of that work is to go into each one of the labs and areas where these students need to come back and prep the area and make sure that it's safe for students to come back. We have received very detailed guidelines from the coordinating board and CDC, of course, and we are implementing those as part of our protocols. We won't have any more than 10 people in any one space at any one time. They will maintain the appropriate social distancing, and we're working on protocols for sanitation, as well as providing PPE to faculty and staff that may need it. I know that that will be addressed a little bit later in the presentation as well, so I won't go into too many details there. But rest assured, as Dr. Serrata said, that we are taking every step possible to make sure that we have a safe environment for our students and our faculty and staff to complete that work. And so that's the immediate need, is how do we get those students from the spring ready and finished so that they can begin the summer semester. We have transitioned all of the summer classes online, as Dr. Serrata said, except for some of the CTE areas. similar to what I was just talking about for finishing the spring areas, we will have some classes in the summer that need to have a hands-on component. And so we're making plans to allow that to happen as early as the start of the summer session. So the faculty in those areas have stepped up. They've worked with the deans and the safety committee that Dr. Serrata mentioned to make sure that we're going to have an environment available for students to work safely and do those labs. So we've realized that this is not a sprint, it's more of a marathon. And as we look to the short-term needs of spring and summer, we also need to look towards the fall. Before I talk about that, let me just talk a little bit from a personal perspective. So you see the gray hair and now the gray beard. So you know I've been around a long time, as many of you have. EPCC has faced its share of obstacles and challenges over the years. Anything from freezes and floods that we've experienced that have had an impact on instruction to SACS issues related to credentialing and the number of full-time faculty. Each one of those was an incredible challenge. But I have to say, in my 32 years at the institution, we've never experienced something as difficult as this. And part of the difficulty is the vague nature, the changing target. Every time we develop a plan, the plan changes based on a governor's order or a mayor's order, et cetera. And so we continue to be flexible as we look toward the fall semester. It's not only faculty that have changed what we've done and stepped up and done a transition to online, but I want you to know that other support services have done the same. So in a little bit, you'll hear from Dr. Mitchell, who will talk about how counselors and advisors have completely changed the way they work with the students, how the librarians have stepped up and changed the way we do library services, how the tutoring areas have completely changed the way they interact with students and have done their own share of virtual training and virtualizing their worlds, as well as other areas of the college that you'll hear from in a little bit. Everybody has stepped up to change the way that we're doing our important work to make sure that our students are successful. So I want to talk a little bit about the fall. And as Dr. Serrata says, we don't have current answers right now. As we develop more concrete plans and as we get a little bit further guidance and information about what things will look like in August, we will share those plans out with you. But I want you to know that right now, coordinators and deans are looking at not only our facilities, but the current social distancing guidelines, the coordinating board information that I mentioned a minute ago, as well as the CDC guidelines. And we're looking at any number of possible ways to do fall classes. The answer will be some mix of online classes, hybrid classes where there is a component that can't be done online, such as we were talking about in the summer, and any form of hybrid in between there. And many of you have reached out and shared your ideas about what the potential fall could look like. And I appreciate all of those, all that feedback and all of those suggestions. Anything is fair game at this point. And so if you feel that you have a valid idea of how best to approach the fall semester, please share those ideas with your coordinators and your deans. As we get closer, as I said, we'll communicate more information out. We realize that as we end the spring semester, begin the summer, and think about the fall, that faculty have reached out and said, there's additional types of training that you would like to see. And so I know that Faculty Association has done a survey. Distance Learning Support Services has reached out for suggested topics. I know the TRCs are doing training as we speak, and we're listening. And so the Distance Learning Support Services area is developing a new set of training that's more targeted for what the fall may look like. So a lot of you experienced the intense boot camps which gave everybody the basics of working online. Now we're going to go into a little bit more in depth and share the things that faculty are asking on how to work best with their students online. I will end my comments there, but before I turn it back over to Dr. Serrata, I just want to wish everybody the best as we wrap up the spring semester and begin to transition in the summer. Thank you again for all the work that you've done on behalf of not only the institution, but more importantly, on behalf of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Smith. Cannot thank you, the deans, all of the faculty who have done such a tremendous job of ensuring that we've been able to transition so quickly, so efficiently and effectively this spring to be able to facilitate the nearly 27,000 students that were enrolled with us this spring to be able to complete their studies for the spring and to continue to move forward in their academic journeys with the institution. I'd like to also reiterate my thanks to Vice President Shaughnessy and her team, Mr. Flores, Laura Diaz, all of finance for the great work that they've done in really putting forward budget scenarios that protects the institution, that protects our faculty, staff, and students so that we can continue to move forward. So I thank both of you for the great work that you're doing, for the work that your team's doing. And at this point, I turn it back to Associate Vice President Mo to continue to move the program forward.
Thank you, Dr. Serrata, Mr. Smith, and Ms. Shaughnessy. Now it's time to begin our conversation with the rest of Cabinet. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions. Our first question goes to Dr. Jenny Giron, Vice President of Information Technology. Our IT team worked around the clock really hard and really tried to get everything up and running smoothly. So as they provided that technical support to transition campus operations online in less than 2 weeks, can you tell us a little bit about what took place and how we will continue to better serve students with limited digital access and what technology is available for students and employees?
Thank you, Ms. Mo. Good afternoon, and good to have all of you join us today. I'm hoping you and all of your families are staying safe and healthy. In response to COVID-19 this spring semester, the college relied heavily on information technology to quickly pivot to full online instruction and remote work. It was the role of IT to ensure for a very robust, reliable, and secure infrastructure to make sure everyone stayed connected to the delivery of instruction or for the delivery of instruction and to continue with our business operations. We also had to make this transition happen with minimal disruption or the least amount of barriers. Therefore, we have had to rely on a lot of digital tools like video conferencing and messaging platforms to increase access to information and of course to communicate with our students, faculty, and staff. Dr. Serrata has already mentioned some of what we did in IT, but I will briefly discuss other work that we did to make this transition happen. First, there was some back-end work we had to do very quickly. For example, we knew that the internet was going to be very busy because everybody was going to be transitioning to online instruction and to remote work. And this was a global issue. So again, IT responded quickly by increasing internet bandwidth to all of our campuses. We wanted to make sure that once you tapped into the EPCC network, our performance in terms of internet would be a smooth one for you. The other thing is we also knew that email was going to be the primary vehicle for communication. So we quickly increased email quota for all employees. The other thing we did was we quickly redesigned a remote toolkit, which centralized all of the services and resources that we had available. We included quick reference guides for our students, faculty, and staff. And we also included important information such as internet connectivity that was now available by providers as part of Keep the Americans Connected initiative. So all of those are services and resources that we provided. We also worked, as Dr. Serrata said, with external relations to develop the EPCC COVID-19 site, which again provided continuous updates from Dr. Serrata, part of the planning processes we were developing, and also provided health updates. The other thing we did was we granted VPN access to all employees. This was going to allow all of you to continue working remotely and continue with your business processes. We also updated the My EPCC landing page, and as you can see, we centralized all of the resources. So now you find that all of the online resources that we have, all of the applications are available at a glance once you get to the My EPCC landing page. In fact, we even created a virtual office center, or virtual assistance office center, I'm sorry, because a lot of the services, as you'll hear from my colleagues, have now become virtual. They're offering these services to our students. So again, we centralized all these resources so that everyone can find them just a click away. We also provided software. We had to renegotiate our software licenses to accommodate our work at home agreements that we had, to make sure that software was available as you work from home. Software was available to our faculty as they continued to develop their courses and deliver online instruction. Our technology resource centers, Dr. Serrata has mentioned, continues to offer, or VP Smith, I'm sorry, continues to offer training workshops. We have a lot of participants every day. And again, learning the tools, the video conferencing tools I mentioned, messaging platforms I mentioned earlier. And then again, our other departments, in terms of our applications development team, they have continuously been working, developing applications so that our administrative offices can continue to perform their work processes. For example, we have a lot of Banner 9 users that needed applications developed so that they could work and use Banner 9 from their home or their remote site. Another example is we developed a specific application for purchasing, because again, if they wanted to continue working with the processing of requisitions or working with vendors, they needed a specific application. So our applications team developed that for them. So they were continuously working on those applications now. And then our EPCC TV and our media services, again, working all the technical and logistical details for our virtual board meetings and even our town hall meeting today. Our media services, our ACS lab staff, and our PC techs, again, quickly developed processes to ensure for a safe laptop checkout program for our students and faculty and staff. We wanted to make sure that they felt safe as we were checking out laptops for them. As we continue to develop new processes, we also know that the initial work has been done. We have transitioned and we continue to develop additional tools. We're continuing to explore additional platforms for you. We currently have a very robust telephone system. So our networking director is now enhancing what we can do with our telephones as we work remotely. For example, he has developed a self-service portal. So now we can use our phone system from your home, and pretty soon the quick reference guide will be posted. He's also developed a call center that will be shared with other departments so that it will replicate what we have in the help desk. Also, we have a calling campaign currently going on, but Marco's going to work with the VP of students who is spearheading that calling campaign so that we can even have pre-recorded or automated messages that go out. So those are some of the things that we're enhancing right now. Of course, we're going to purchase additional laptops because we know that we need to have those available for all of our users. We're looking at remote hotspots also to have those available. And previously, we did not purchase additional laptops or hotspots because the availability and inventory was an issue. Again, you can understand that everybody, all the school districts, all the organizations were trying to buy laptops and hotspots. So we had to do with what we had. But now we're in the planning process of purchasing additional laptops and hotspots. We're also working with the city of El Paso, the county of El Paso, all of our K through 12 educational partners, because we continue to know that internet connectivity is still an issue. The procurement of mobile devices for our students is also an issue. So now we're looking at this at a community level, see how we can leverage resources and look at all of these issues that we're dealing with. Because again, right now, as I conclude my comments, all of you know that we are going through a rapid digital transformation. Everybody is now having to use the technology. Everybody's having to make use of the tools that we have. But I feel very confident that everybody's feeling confident in terms of using these tools, and everybody's feeling like we're developing new skills. So again, we continue to work on what we're doing. And I am certain that my colleagues are going to talk to you or discuss how their areas have adjusted to this reality and how they're making use of all this technology, and that we continue to work together with all of you. So again, I want to thank all of you for your patience. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the IT directors and my team and their teams, because they work round the clock. They continue to explore. They continue to work together and make sure that we're providing all the necessary tools and services that you need. So I want to thank you, and please stay safe and healthy. My best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Giron. Our next question is for Dr. Ken Gonzalez, Vice President of Student Enrollment Services. Since campus operations are being done remotely, how are students getting assistance with testing and other services so that they can register?
Thanks, Carrie. Hello, everyone. One of the things that I was realizing when I was listening to all the updates is just how much work we all are doing. It's just more work than, and we're working harder than we ever have. So my thank you to everyone throughout the college and my division for doing all of the work that you're doing, really, head and shoulders above anything we've ever done before, and really coming together, really stepping forward, thinking creatively, which really has allowed us, as Carrie mentioned, to serve students virtually. So for those of you who are not aware, if you go to our EPCC website, if you go to any of the offices in the division, financial aid, admissions, CSD, athletics, the police department, career and transfer services, new student orientation, if you go to any of those sites, you'll see an icon that says Get Connected. And when you click on that icon, you'll actually be able to see someone live as you're watching us now. And that really makes a difference for students. They want to see somebody's face. They want to see a friendly smile, especially during these times that they're really struggling and trying to figure out, how do I move forward? How do I continue my studies? And it really makes a difference to have a friendly face. So I want to thank all of you who have really stepped forward and have created those environments that we can still connect with students. We can still be there for them. And they recognize that. We've actually conducted some surveys, and the students are saying great things about our calling campaign and video conferencing efforts. And they really appreciate us reaching out to them, not just being here waiting for them to come to us, but reaching out to them. We've had some fantastic results so far. We have a lot of work to do, a lot of catching up to do, but we've reduced we were significantly down for summer enrollment, and we have just done so much great work that now we're very close to where we were this time last year. And we need to do a lot of work for the fall semester, but I'm sure now that with everyone working so hard with the technology support from Dr. Hidon's area, we're able to make these gains. So thank you, everyone, and be safe.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. We have a similar question for Dr. Mitchell, Associate Vice President of Instruction and Student Success. How do students get counseling, and what other student support services are available?
Thank you, Ms. Mo. Students have several options for contacting counselors and advisors. The most common method is to email counseling@epcc.edu, or for FTIC students, to email firstyear.ea@epcc.edu. This is like scheduling an appointment with a counselor. The counselor will then contact the student, usually the same day, by email, telephone, or with a virtual link to Collaborate Ultra. Counselors and advisors are currently serving more than 4,500 students per week. Other online student support is also available virtually. Online tutoring is available through the Office of Student Success from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily. Virtual boot camps for the TSI will also start very soon. Libraries also have online databases, online LibGuides, and virtual assistants, or an Ask a Librarian feature. Librarians can also do a virtual library orientation for your class upon request. Distance Learning Support Services has a 24-hour help desk, live online support from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and virtual office hours daily. Links to all of these services are on the EPCC COVID-19 website on the live online support page. I want to thank all of the faculty and staff in my area for the great job they are doing during this unique situation. And we look forward to working with you for this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Well, it has been announced that the majority of classes will be online for summer. As VP Smith mentioned, some career and technical education courses will be returning to campus. Dr. Jaime Farias, Associate Vice President of Workforce Education, can you tell us a little bit more about that and the plans in place to ensure students and faculty and employees are safe? I think you are muted, Dr. Farias.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mo. I apologize for not unmuting myself. As VP Smith has mentioned earlier, career and technical area requires a lot of hands-on approaches to it. So that means individuals mostly have to come on campus because they have the tools and necessary materials there. So what I'm going to talk about is how we are trying to ensure with the best capabilities to get students to complete their courses for the spring, to continue their courses for the summer, and continue as well into the fall semester. I'm going to focus on the Transportation Training Center as well as the Advanced Technology Center. These are very large industrial complex buildings. We are going to have one entrance, one exit, monitored so that we know who is going into the program, into the areas. There are going to be very clearly demarcations on the ground so that people can follow social distancing, as well as clearly developed signs so that individuals know where they can wash their hands and clean and things of that nature. In addition to that, we're looking at alternative schedulings where we take a class that may be 16 students in a welding class and dividing it up into two portions, Section A and Section B, where the total number of occupants during that period of time will only be 10 as specified. But that says there are 8 students, a lab assistant, and a faculty member. Again, keeping people safe. Every time those labs are used, they are going to be sanitized. The equipment and materials are going to be sanitized. That's why we have the lab assistants in those areas. Likewise, we are going to make sure that we know who the visitors are, if there are going to be visitors, and very clearly stated to limit the number of people in that area. With that, we are following the CDC guidelines as well as the protocols that were established by the coordinating board so that we have a safe environment. And again, it's about a safe campus. That's what we are about, safe students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Farias. The next question is for Mr. Fernie Flores, Associate Vice President of Budget and Financial Services. Later this week, eligible EPCC students will be able to apply for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, also known as the CARES Act. How will those funds be distributed?
Thank you, Carrie, and good afternoon to everyone listening. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Thanks to the CARES Act, the district became eligible for considerable funding. The district received the authorization for $8,295,073 designated to be used 100% to be dispersed as aid to students. The process involves the student submitting an online application. Also, there is going to be a website with very detailed information to help guide students in completing the application process. Generally, to be eligible, students must be enrolled in the spring 2020 semester and be Title IV eligible. However, if students were already in an online class as of March 13th, they will not be eligible. This is according to the guidelines of the CARES Act. We expect funds to start being dispersed beginning next week. I would like to thank the hardworking team in financial aid that has coordinated this effort for students to receive this aid, along with the wonderful support that they received from IT and the offices of the Comptroller and Bursar Services to accomplish this task. For more information, you can go to the link go.epcc.edu/financialaidlive for more information. I would like to thank you for your virtual attention.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. We have nearly exceeded our time for today, and so we'll wrap it up with a final question. As we look at continuing remote operations into the near future, we still need to look ahead. This question is for Dr. Julie Penley, Vice President of Research, Accreditation, and Planning. Is EPCC still looking to the future and moving forward with the strategic plan?
Great question, Carrie, and the answer is a very definite yes. My office has emailed all employees the draft of EPCC's next strategic plan, which is the college's roadmap for moving forward over the next 5 years. The plan is the foundation for everything we do on behalf of our students and our community, including our learning outcomes and our departmental area plans. The plan transcends physical location, so even though there's still some uncertainty about our short-term reality, we can continue to move forward with our long-term planning process. I encourage everyone to review the strategic plan draft and to send any feedback to Ms. Christy Frescas, the Director of Institutional Planning. Over the summer, she'll review the feedback and will work with the Cabinet to present a final version of the plan to our Board of Trustees in early fall. If approved, we'll begin a rollout campaign later in the fall to spread the word about our new strategic plan so that everyone at EPCC will be able to use the plan to guide their work beginning in the spring of 2021.
Thank you, Dr. Penley. Next, I turn the program back to Dr. Serrata for some final remarks.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moe. I want to thank everyone who's attending, not just for attending this virtual town hall, which is new to all of us, something that none of us expected. I look forward to going to each of the respective campuses and broadcasting from the ASC about the many amazing accomplishments that you lead in your respective areas that bring national recognition to our institution. The pride that each of you takes in serving the students that we are privileged to serve. The number of degrees and certificates that we continue to award annually that continue to rank the college first in the nation in awarding associate degrees to Latino students. All of this is only possible based on the great work that each of you leads on a daily basis. And it is a new time. It is certainly different for all of us. So this virtual town hall is a first of its likes. We expected to be doing this in person this spring. I'd like to thank Pam Payne for the slides that she put together, obviously Associate Vice President Mo for leading this effort. And I want to thank each and every one of you once again for the great work that you do. I want to thank the cabinet. You see that each and every member of the cabinet is busy working hard to ensure that we're able to transition any and all services that we've traditionally done face-to-face into a virtual environment, again, to facilitate the success of our students. I want to thank the faculty again, as Mr. Smith indicated earlier, for the great work that they've done of transitioning so quickly. And I want to thank you for your patience as we continue to move forward. We've shared much of the decisions that have been made for the institution for not just the spring, but the summer. And we are working diligently with the Board of Trustees, along with local, state, and national officials, adhering to the CDC guidelines and to ensure the safety of all of our faculty, staff, and students to make a decision, a recommendation to the board for a decision for the fall semester as quickly as we possibly can. In the interim, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for serving our students so well in this new format and in this new situation. Please stay healthy. Please be well. Please take care of yourselves. And I look forward to seeing each of you in person soon. Thank you, Ms. Mo.
Thank you to David Akers and his team for helping us with the platform for today's event. And thanks to each of you who tuned in today and for those of you who submitted questions. We weren't able to get to all the questions today, but we have made note of them and we'll continue to share information as it becomes available. Dr. Serrata and our entire cabinet team is committed to keeping you informed, and we will continue to provide regular updates. Remember to continue to check your EPCC email and visit EPCC's COVID-19 Resources and Response website page, epcc.edu/contact live for the latest information. Stay safe and be well.